Well, it's May 29th. We've just come from Growler Cove to a little settlement called Alert Bay, which is next to an Indian reserve. And we bought some fuel and supplies. This is a picture of the Alert Bay waterfront. Alert Bay looks like a very pleasant little island. And as we go out of town, we're going to take a picture of one of the biggest groups of totem poles that are around in BC. This is in the local Indian cemetery, but I'll wait a few minutes till we've pulled up to it. Well, we just had a rather exciting departure from Alert Bay. One of the 3 dinghy painters got wrapped around the propeller shaft, and I had to untwist it and cut it before the dink got sucked under the boat. Now I'm standing here with a starboard pant leg all wet. I'm going to swing around here past the Alert Bay laboratories, and you'll see the collection of totems. There they are. You're not supposed to photograph the totems on the land, and we're out in the water, and I figured nobody would see me and nobody would mind. Cruise ships sometimes stop in here, and there's a sign over there saying no trespassers, but it seems to me that probably the people just climb right up on the grass and take pictures of the totems. There didn't seem to be too many graves in there. I saw about six markers. I mean, 6 gravestones, unless each totem marks a grave. That I don't know. So there they are. Genuine totem poles. It's right next to the Alert Bay shipyard. Maybe I should talk with the accent like they have up here. With the Alert Bay shipyard. It used to be the old sawmill about 80 years ago. Okay, well, we're gonna get the hell out of here and head for Port Hardy before the northwest wind kicks up. Do as best as we can. See you later, love. Well, it's now about 3 hours since we left Alert Bay, and we're in the last 10 miles going to Point Hardy. Not exactly an open sea passage, but it's open in one direction to the open sea. We're really lucky today because it was just very rainy and cloudy yesterday. It rained the whole day. And now we've got a beautiful blue sky, and I just wanted to show this panorama. That's the British Columbia shore over there. And I'm just going to pan along. There's snow-peaked mountains as far as the eye can see. We go to the open sea over there. It's way in the distance at Port Hardy, about 13 miles away. I'm going to come around on the Vancouver side. Just pretty as can be. I don't know if this video will capture it. It's just a fantastic day. Let's zoom in on some of this stuff. This camera will finally focus. There we go. And we have a little blue sky overhead. It just raises the spirits tremendously. Okay, well, next stop, Port Hardy. I keep looking for orcas along the way. We haven't seen any yet, but we saw 5 bald eagles, 3 at one time today. And we saw totem poles. I showed you those earlier. We saw Native Americans. Let's see, we ate oysters, so now we gotta see some whales, catch a salmon, and get the hell out of here. Well, what can I tell you all? We've been out now for 8 days. I haven't been recording everything. Yesterday we crossed Queen Charlotte Strait. That was the big bugaboo that you're supposed to be afraid of, but it turned out to be just fine. It was a gray raining crossing, but the wind was off our quarter, and we just did it. We came to Calvert Island and stayed in a harbor called Pruth Bay, and we've just left Pruth Bay. We're out in Huckeye Sound, and I'm trolling for salmon. You can just see the rod off the back. I've got the jib out, set up just like a little handkerchief, and we're running downwind, seeing if Mr. Salmon will cooperate. As I pan around here, You can see the spectacular scenery. Yesterday was really a lousy weather day, and today it's been clearing. The sky's turned blue with fluffy clouds. The temperature is about in the high 50s or low 60s. There's a breeze about 12 to 15 knots behind us. The reason for our optimism to catch a salmon is back in the harbor we saw a guy that had two monster fish. I would have guessed they weighed 30 pounds apiece. He said he caught them out here this morning on live bait. Well, we don't have live bait, but we'll see what else can happen. Here you can see my salmon trolling rig. Just the jib is out about halfway. If you look at the wind indicator, you see the wind direction there. And I just try and set up the tiller to keep us going in some reasonable direction. Depth right here is 78 fathoms. It's what, about 450 feet. You can hear Beethoven coming out of the cabin. We've been listening to a lot of tapes. So everything's going swimmingly. There are no great adventures to tell. This morning at anchor, I stupidly forgot when I dropped the hook in 12 feet. I forgot that the tide goes out by about 15 feet. So we ended up just about at the bottom this morning. But it wasn't a problem. We just made waffles and waited for the tide to come back in and got off the bottom. There's the wide open ocean out there. That's where we don't want to go, folks. Okay, well, until something interesting happens, we'll stop. This is just to show you what it looks like when it's raining in the Pacific Northwest. We're sailing down Fitzhugh Sound heading for Namu, cannery town. And rain's approaching us over the horizon, and you can see it over there where the sun's shining through. Probably in about 10 minutes it's going to be on us. If I sweep up the channel, you can see some more over there. Pretty neat. We've just had a spectacular sail for about 1 hour. After trolling for salmon unsuccessfully, we thought this is such a good wind we ought to sail.
Hi people!
Our autopilot, which had died a few days ago, I revived by surgery.
It's a long power autopilot.
But then it rained on it. Now, naturally, since the auto helmet's made in England, they wouldn't expect it to be able to withstand rain. So it died again. And we opened it up and dried it in the sun, and now it's working again. Well, here we go. There's the channel marker into Namu. We hope to spend the night here. Come on, focus camera, there we go. We hope to spend the night here, get some fuel in the morning, and continue on north. That's proof that this boat sails. Heading north under Dancer's Claw.
Way.
This is just proof that we're heading north. North to Namu would make the great title of a movie. Starring Juan and Dick. North to Namu. There's more rain. You gotta get that. There's a boat coming out of the rain really getting peed on there. There's that first rain squall over there. Well, that's enough. Well, we're sitting right now in the harbor of Namu, an ex-fish cannery town that now has 6 or 8 people in it. And as you can see from the video here, Marilyn has given up the ghost again. Well, I think because she's gotten some water inside of her. So she's laying in the sun trying to dry out. Right there in the center is a gear that I rebuilt. The light-colored part is West epoxy that I filled it all up in. And we're just hoping that if she lays in the sun here, she'll come back to life again. I'll just pan here around the harbor at Namu. That's looking out. Come up here and we start. There's their machine shop, and there's the machine shop and the store. Up in the top there you can see the cottages that I guess the upper echelon fish packer people used to live in. Way in the back where you can't see are dormitory type accommodations that are all vacant. Look like several hundred people could have been here. Actually, back in the 70s I was told there was actually enough people for a school here. So we hiked around town, and kind of an eerie feeling seeing the forest reclaiming everything. There was a big water pipe about 12-inch diameter made out of wood with the kind of technology you'd see in a barrel. You know, we hiked back into the woods to a lake up above town. The lake was real reddish brown color from cedar or cypress trees that were growing around. Okay, well, that's Namu, and hopefully Maryland will come back to life and we'll push off for points north. Well, today's June 3rd, 1992. We're into about the 12th day of the cruise. Yesterday we had our first minor disaster. It could have been more major than minor. We were going into a harbor and we smashed pretty hardly into a rock, going at about 2.5 knots. I got the boat off the rock and I abruptly hit on another rock, and then I tried to back it, and when I gave it full throttle in reverse, the boat shot forward, because at that very instant of time that we hit the rock, the transmission decided to become disconnected from the gear shift lever, so that as you gave it throttle in reverse, it just went forward. So we banged, I guess, a total of 3 times pretty hard, and finally got out of there. I was able to get down under the engine and see that the Morse cable had come disconnected from the transmission, got it reconnected, and we went into another harbor where we had to anchor with a bow and stern anchor. I'm just showing you here one of the cruise ships coming up Lama Channel to show you these guys really do exist. He's still about a mile off. They're really quite beautiful. The Alaska State Ferry went by a few minutes ago, and when he comes alongside of us, we'll show you what he looks like. There he is, way in the distance here. When we woke up this morning, it was a beautifully clear day, but now it's beginning to cloud over. There's your typical inland passage scenery, which you're probably gotten enough ad nausea, but I like it. This is my video. There's Juan. He's getting ready to take a picture of the ferry as it comes by. We fixed the auto helm for the 4th time today. We keep taking it apart and drying it out and cleaning electrolysis off the contacts and taping it up. And every time we do it, different screws shear off, so I don't know if it's really going to live for the life of this cruise. Maybe it'll go back with Juan and we'll get it repaired and have it come out here with Benjamin again. Okay, well, I'll turn this on later when the cruise ship goes by. Well, it only took a few minutes for this guy to come up with us here. This isn't a cruise ship. This is the British Columbia Ferry. I think you can see the symbol on the front there. Nice looking boat. They paint their ships white. The Alaska Marine Highway has theirs blue. When you paint it white, it looks like a cruise ship. He's just trucking down Lama Passage here at about 20 knots. And we're going to let him go by us, and then we're going to follow up Lama Passage up to the Indian village of New Bella Bella, where we hope to get some bread and paper towels and some other supplies. Maybe we can see the passengers on board here. Anybody there? No, they're all inside where it's warm and toasty. It's only us rugged individuals who are out here with the wind blowing on us at about 50 degrees. Fade out. Thursday, June 4th. Juan and I have had a rather stressful morning. Last night we had gone into Reed Passage, a very narrow passage that allows you to avoid some open water. And you sort of have to thread your way in past some rocks. We got in and anchored in a nice anchorage called Oliver Cove. We went fishing at night, and I caught several bottom fish, and we cooked them up for dinner. That was our first fish experiment. It was sort of a modified success, qualified success. Well, we went to leave this morning, and unfortunately the anchor didn't come up. We pulled and we pulled and we pulled and we pulled, and we couldn't get it up. Finally, I put it on the bow roller, took it to the winch, and we just started cranking. And after a while, an enormous waterlogged log came up. It seemed to be about 40 feet long. So finally we screwed around with that, and I got the chain off the log. And then when the anchor came up, it was connected to an enormous piece of sheet metal, something like a 50-gallon drum. So we got the anchor up. Then getting out of Reed Passage involved some very tricky piloting. Finally going through a passage no more than about 40 or 50 feet wide with rocks on each side and waves breaking. That was no fun. But now, as you can see, we've entered some very placid water. We're going down a beautiful channel, and it should be clear sailing for the rest of the day. Before I turn this off, I'm just going to take you to the back of the boat to show you the nice way that we tow the Avon. So now I'm back at the stern, and of course you can hear the sound of the diesel. What I wanted to show you was this three tow line situation. I've got a painter on the center, which has a shock cord spring. Then off on each side, a second line. All of them are polypropylene, so they float. The idea is most of the strain is taken up by the painter and the shock cord. The shock cord keeps shocks off the fittings. And the two on the side keep the dinghy from turning. So it just sits there very, very nicely. It doesn't swing from side to side the way you would with a single line. I should patent this idea. Let me get the flag out of the way. There we go. We'll maybe see a little more of it. This is looking back from where we came. Today's another beautiful day. Yesterday was a gorgeous day. Blue skies, fluffy white clouds. The weather changes very, very fast here. It can be calm and blue skies, and then 10 minutes later it can be blowing 15 knots, it'll be cloudy and starting to rain. Well, I better turn this off because I'm probably getting drowned out by the engine. Actually, before I sign out, I should tell you where we're headed. We're headed towards a little Indian village called Clem 2, where we hope to get some diesel fuel. One person warned us that maybe their diesel fuel isn't the cleanest in the world, but we'll just have to take our chances. And then we'll look for an anchorage. I'd like to get up to a place called Butedale, but that's still about 50 miles, or actually 55 miles away. I don't think we can make that in one day. Well, this is a picture just for those people who say that you can never sail going in the inland passage. We're still on our way to Clem 2. There's about a 10-knot breeze behind us. So we put up the main and jib. Let's see what the wind vane's showing you. Could you ever have anything better than that, folks? Right off the starboard quarter. Unfocused, but off the starboard quarter. It's an absolutely sparkling clear day. Visibility must be 50 miles, 100 miles, who knows? I mean, it just never quits. Let's see what we're doing on the speedo here. 5.4 knots. Not bad. So that's for the people who say you can't sail in the inland passage. You can if you want to, just got to be there when the wind's blowing. Well, great day. Today's Friday, June 6th, and you're looking at a mess of prawns that we just bought off a prawn boat. The lady on the prawn boat showed us how to prepare them. She said to first tear off the head, and that's what Juan's doing now. And then we're going to steam them or boil them up and decide what to put on them and eat them up. So that'll be our new experience for today. The prawns are caught by putting down a trap in pretty deep water with some kind of fish bait in it. Then they leave it for 1 or 2 days and come back with a winch and pull it up and get out the prawns. There's another industry going on here, which is logging. And as you see here, we're tied up next to a small log boom in a little bay called Cougar Bay, about 2 hours north of Clem 2. We came in here planning on anchor, but we saw this nice boom, and so we tied a stern line to one ring and the bow line to the other. the boat out there actually that's just pulling out is the prawn boat that we bought these from. Looks like we're going to be lucky with another beautiful day today. Anyhow, there's a nice blue sky today. I just saw an eagle go flying by. We had a nice conversation with the loggers that cut these trees. There's 3 men on a small steel boat. They said it took them about a week's work to harvest this much. They cut them back in the forest and drag them out using their boat, drag them out to the beach, then pulled them around it into this cove. Eventually a wood buyer will come out, make a bid on the wood, pay them off, and that buyer will have somebody come in and take the wood away. If you look very carefully, you can see a brand right there. When they cut the tree, the logger smashes his brand into the tree, and he said that actually an imprint of that carries about 2 feet into the wood, so even if somebody cuts off the end with a special die, they can bring it out again and prove whether or not somebody's rustling the logs. Okay, well, we're going to get down to our serious work here. How you doing, Juan?
Oh, almost ready. I'm getting hungry.
Okay, we were going to have these for dinner, and then we talked about lunch, and Juan said, well, how about now? So we're going to start in with them. Till later. Well, it's still June 5th. We're just trucking along. I guess it's called Fraser Reach, heading for Grain Reach to go up to Buttedale. We've got another spectacular day. The wind is dead aft. We've got the sails up. We're just passing this pretty waterfall that I thought I should get out the video camera. I'll just show you what's up ahead of us here. It's just this canyon about 2 miles wide with low mountains on both sides and a great big snow-capped peak off in the distance. I don't know how far away that is, but it could be as much as 50 or 60 miles. The sky's blue, the wind's about 12 to 15 knots right off the stern. As they say, just another day in paradise. Probably the sun will screw up this shot. There we go. No motor, just a big white sail. Marilyn's in decent health again after a couple of major surgeries and a facelift. You can hear the sound of the bow wave as it gurgles along. We're making about 5.9 knots, sometimes hitting 6. I don't want to get too seasick here. There's the dinghy towing on its triple tether, nice and happy. I was fishing a little while ago when the speed dropped to 2 knots, but now it took off again. This morning we went up to a prawn fisherman and bought a kilo of prawns and cooked some of them up for brunch. It was very good. And we kept the other half. Maybe we'll make them for dinner now. There's Crew Juan there in his bikini underpants. Oh, now we're this much closer to the waterfall. The camera takes a while to focus. Right there. Come on, Mr. Sony. There you go. There seems to be a number of mountain lakes up in these mountains, and as we go along we see waterfall after waterfall. At one time we saw as many as 5 at one time. At Buttedale, which is where we're headed, there's supposed to be a big cataract, and I'll film that when we get there. Until then, this is your roving reporter, Richard. Well, it's still June 5th, and we're moving along Graham Reach, still with the wind behind us. Got a little too strong for the mainsail, so we're sailing along under the jib. Now I'm just taking this picture of the scenery to remind me how beautiful it is. Those are real deep green, water's a deep blue, sky is azure, and some of the mountains is nice white snow. I suppose if this was a little later in the season, that wouldn't be there. Don't mean to get you seasick from all this rocking. We're just going along under the jib. Just about 4 knots. We've got a little tide with us. We'll be in Buttedale in about another 2.5 hours. It's just Mother Nature at its finest. Is it on?
This is our skipper, Big Packard. We are going through the ridge channel way north.
As I sit here, I can see the BC ferry about 5 miles behind us, coming up behind us. They'll probably be surprised to see someone sailing in here.
Yeah,
It must be pretty unusual to be able to sail here, but we've had the wind behind us all day, and I guess it's because it's still late spring rather than summer that we can benefit from this wind.
Dick, where are we going through these Graham passages?
Well, we're heading for a defunct cannery town called Buttedale. It's about 12 miles from that here. It's supposed to be a nice waterfall there and reasonable, although not great anchorage. At night the wind drops, so you don't need the world's greatest anchorage to be pretty secure. Then after Buttedale, we're going to go to Hot Springs the next day, a place called Bishop Cove. That's supposed to be a popular stop with sailors and fishermen in the summer, so that might be real nice. And then we'll keep trucking on north.
Well, I will show our viewers our way north on the compass.
Here's another memory to record on June 5th. That's the BC Ferry, Queen of the North, trucking on to Prince Rupert. We just talked to the helmsman on board to ask her which side of the channel we should be on, and it didn't seem to matter. For anybody who doesn't want to come north in a small sailboat, that's a nice way to do it. You can probably go from Vancouver to Prince Rupert and back in that. Pretty nice setting, huh? Startling white against the green and blue background. Okay, I hope these pictures come out well. Just told the captain of Queen of the North if he wanted to, he could announce to all his passengers that they were going past the sailing vessel Dancer, outbound for Berkeley, California to Glacier Bay, Alaska. And 2 minutes after Queen of the North passes, we just went by this real nice cataract. We're about, I guess, 6 boat lengths away from it. You can hear it roaring away there. Must be coming out of a lake up in the mountains. On focus. There we go. All ready for a Coors beer commercial. Well, we're still going along the same channel we've been in all day. Now you can see the wind has died, and I'm salmon fishing off the back, and the Pacific Princess here is chugging on by us. It's rather spectacular to see these kinds of ships coming up what looks like a really wilderness setting. We've pretty much been the only boat in here all day, although we just saw another motorized sailboat. Looking back towards here, you can see it's all glassy calm now. The wind quit maybe 20 minutes ago. And then this fellow came chugging on by, and he's probably on his way to Alaska. Off the back, I've got my fishing pole. There it is. Most of the time we don't go slow enough to troll, but we're going to give it a shot this time to try and get a salmon on the way to Butetail. Well, the trouble with most videos shot in a sailboat is that the deck of a sailboat is kind of a limited platform, so you gotta get out and tread water the way I'm doing. Oh God, it's cold. I'm trying to take a picture of what's going on. So this is a very short film sequence called Dancer in Paradise. That's Juan at the helm. I'm trying to get Dancer and these snow-capped peaks all together here. Come on over here, fella. Come on, come on. Guess you can hear that little Yanmar chugging away. Come on, Mr. Sony, focus. And here we see our little ship sailing north to Glacier Bay. This is not a staged scene. This is how it actually looks. But wait! What's missing off the stern? The dinghy! Somebody must have taken it. I suppose the casual viewer would find this a rather boring film. Sort of like showing baby pictures for the 100th time to people who don't want to see them. Chug, 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 chug. Well, if there was a spectator here, this is what she'd look like, so that's all you're going to get. There's the mountain. There's the boat. There's some more mountains. Now I'll take a... Well, this is a rather exciting moment. You see out there in the boat, far, far away, off in the distance is Juan. We just had a little fight. Says, I'm not going to do any more of your goddamn business. I'm going to Alaska myself. So he's taken off in the dinghy, and, well, I gave him a liter of water and a tin of crackers, and wish him well. Oh, I think he's having a change of mind, having a change of heart. All right, well, we'll see if he wants to get back on board for the rest of this trip. Well, what do we have here? Juan and Dick just got a little thirsty, so we pulled into Butetail where we heard there was some fresh water. We're just nosing our boat up to the Butetail Falls. We're approximately one boat length away, and the water is 70 fathoms deep. We were thinking of dropping the hook here and letting the wash hold us in place, but no way am I going to drop it at 70 fathoms. Butetail is a ghost town. It's all deserted buildings. Used to be a cannery. Not much left of it. No people, no life. We're going to go over and try and tie up to some of the pilings. That looks like the honey of a little house to rehabilitate, right by the waterfalls here. That's a pretty spectacular cataract. Want to go right in there? Charge. Probably all ice water. Well, we're gonna get our drinking cups, fill them up, quench our thirst, and go try and tie up to some old pilings. Well, yesterday I showed you the waterfall at Butetail. Now I'm going to show you Butetail. If you've never seen an abandoned village, this is it. People just walked away from it about 15 or 20 years ago. At one time it was a reasonably prosperous cannery, and now the buildings have just been sitting here subject to vandalism and the weather for a long, long time. It's strange seeing these structures just sit here. Nobody owning them, just letting them go. This would be something that in California they'd make another Cannery Row out of it and fill it up with gift shops. Probably another 20 years from now this will all be gone. So that's Buttedale, 1992. So this is the hot springs at Bishop Bay. It's set up by the Forest Service, and I'm afraid it's something. Let's see, I think I missed that. This is the hot spring. This is the hot springs at a place called Bishop Bay. And I'm afraid it's something that in the U.S. we couldn't have. It's set up by the Park Service, and in our country it would be called an attractive nuisance. But it sure is nice that this is still a country where people are allowed to judge for themselves whether they can walk up a ladder and fall flat on their ass or not. I'll take you up there and just show you the springs. The setting here, oops, the setting is very, very pretty. It's a deep fjord coming back in here. So we'll just walk up here and show you what we have. Ahead lies kind of a tortuous, bumpy path. It's all slippery and slick. You've got to step over the rocks and step over the roots. Climb up along here on a rickety old bridge. No handrails. Oh, let me get up here. And it follows along here. Oh dear, attractive nuisance. The liability insurance will never cover this. Oh, hold on, folks. It's downhill. And we come to a little bathhouse that was built either by the Park Service or Yacht Club. And there's a little tub outside where you're told to do your bathing. And inside here, there's this gorgeous sort of concrete lined pool, and it has the hot water dribbling in from a hot spring somewhere up above. You can look out those holes out onto the bay. The sign says the water temperature is 110 degrees, but it seemed to me more like 104. And you can just soak to your heart's content. It's odorless, tasteless, perfectly clear, and in this cool, misty setting. It's just a delightful thing. My thoughts were how grateful I was it was here, and how sad it was that we probably couldn't have it in the U.S. Here comes Juan down here to take another picture. Well, what you're seeing here is the famous single-handed kayaker Jennifer Hahn, who we met in Hartley Bay. She's going, let's see, you started in Bella Bella?
Well, unless you keep convincing me to follow the breadcrumbs, I may end up going all the way to Glacier Bay. No, just kidding. I do have to go home from work.
And where did you start?
And I started in Bella Bella on May the 15th. So I'm going from full moon to full moon.
Uh-huh. So she's doing a great job. She graciously joined us for supper last night. She wanted to sleep out in the rain, but she agreed to have some salad and chicken chili.
I said, well, okay. And it's been one of the highlights of the trip. Makes it hard to leave.
She's got an incredible amount of stuff in this boat. I don't know how it floats, but it does. We tried to lift it yesterday, and seem to be about 180 or 200 pounds.
Just about snapped all the vertebrae on each one of our backs, so. I think it's loaded with about 50 gallons of rain and seawater soaked gear right now.
Yeah, you know, I bet if you got a sunny day and you dried it all out, you might be a bit lighter.
I might float higher.
Yeah, certainly dry out your water bottle.
I always got to lean on this one. Usually I'm on land when I do this, just to get the air out.
Jennifer goes complete with about 50 pounds of books, VHF radio, tent, sleeping bag, emergency flares, parachute flares. She's all set.
Oh, and she has things like her sketch pad and ethnobotany library. You're never a true kayaker unless you have at least 6 yards of duct tape on your gear.
Well, duct tape probably kept a lot of expeditions going. If you've ever seen a space shuttle come back from a long voyage, it's just covered with duct tape.
So what I'm going to do after these folks leave is I'm going to send a pod of orca whales to visit them.
Yeah, right. Jennifer's one of these people that claim that orcas live in the Pacific Northwest. We seem to have evidence that there aren't any.
She saw one, very briefly. Only. Now, the boots go on the way back. This is something I've carried and worn once.
When we're kids, sometimes people say, your mother wears army boots. Well, Jennifer does wear army boots.
There are times I've thought of sinking them so I didn't have to carry them so far.
Actually, those could be used for a rescue, because if you ever needed help, you could say to a fisherman, I'll give you these boots if you rescue me.
I got these brand new boots. They got, you can see not only Lincoln's entire, you can't see Lincoln's head. Maybe that's what the key is. I forget. The tire track trick. Well, let's see. All I got is a wet wetsuit. Which I'm kind of refusing to wear right now.
Okay, folks, there he is. Mr. Coho. Richard of the North has struck again. Well, that's our first salmon. Small though he is, 1.5 pounds. He's going to be dinner tonight. We've just come into Lowy Inlet, a beautiful anchorage off of the Granville Channel. And just coming into the inlet, I was trolling, and this little guy had the misfortune to show his voracious appetite. We got him on board with the net and dispatched him with a winch handle, and that was about 25 minutes ago. And now we're going to discuss all the different ways that we can cook them. I'll just show you around the anchorage here because it's a rather pretty spot. Right up ahead of us here is a little waterfall called Verney Falls. Come on, camera focus, there we go. And what we've done, since the waterfall has a lot of water output into the sea here, it's making a current. So we just drove up until the water was about 5 fathoms deep and dropped the hook in, and now we're sitting here in the current from the river, and according to the guidebook we're supposed to hear it pleasantly gurgle all night and lull us to sleep. Well, I'll just pan you around the anchorage. There's one other boat in here right over there. It's a real pretty spot, maybe about 1/4 mile across. Probably over there on the beach is where we're going to take Mr. Coho to do the cleaning. And then back to Verney Falls. So that's the first salmon of the Dancer North expedition. It cost me a $40 fishing license and about $30 worth of lost fishing tackle, but we finally got one. Well, that'll stop it for now. Well, friends, it's about June 10th, and here we are trucking down the Grenville Channel, hitting about 6 to 6.5 knots. This is another example of what they say when they say you can't sail going to Alaska. Yeehaw! Just had a real nice anchorage at Verney Falls and Lowy Inlet. Had that salmon I showed you last night. Wind's just about dead aft. Boom, 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 boom. Chuck, 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 chuck. That's where you want it, folks. Go through life with the wind at your back. And we've got a tape on the tape player. You can hear the bow and stern waves trucking away. Got a little low clouds today. I'll give you a shot going back, Renville Channel here. This is really a great channel. It's about, I guess, 40 miles long, just as straight as can be. A couple of nice inlets. If I go way over on the shore here and zoom in, you may see our kayaker friend Jennifer. There she is, trucking along there. She's actually making almost the same time as we are, because we've got 3 knots of tide against us. She's just hugging the shore and using every back eddy she can. She only goes about 2.5 knots, but with no tide, she's keeping up. It's amazing how much stuff this woman has packed into that kayak. There we go, back down Grenville Channel and sweeping around here and out in front. Well, I'm just making this tape because we're having a real good time. It's just an unbelievable sail. You know, when do you get to have that kind of wind behind you going in a straight line? Let's see if we can see the speedo. Oh, I don't know if you can see it or not. Sitting between 5.5 and 6.5. Okay, well, here's till later. This is a shot of a long, narrow fjord-like inlet called Clue Nugget Inlet. It's the prettiest anchorage that we've been in to date. We're about 1 or 2 days out of Prince Rupert. This video won't capture just how pretty it is. It's about 2 miles long. Wait, what's that gorgeous boat sitting there? The inlet's about 1.5 miles or 2 miles long. We're the only boat in it. Goes back to the entrance and then it comes around. At night it's just as calm as a glass mirror in here. And Dancer looks absolutely terrific. Just sitting there. There's very tall mountains all around us. Well, I don't think this will capture it, so I'll just pan out. We plan today to push on to get to about 20 miles from Prince Rupert. Prince Rupert's about 50 miles from here. If it turns out the anchorage is poor that I have selected, then we'll probably push on and get there late in the day today. It's June 10th, 1992. This is just one more shot of Clue Nugget Inlet, where you can see Dancer just sitting all by herself. It's been a real treat to be in here last night. We're the only boat in the inlet. There's probably about, well, between this inlet and a couple others, probably 10 square miles of water in here. We're the only boat. We've got the hook down in about 65 feet of water, about 1/2 mile of swinging room on either side. Pretty great anchorage. It's going to be hard to take Prince Rupert after being out like this. Last night we finished off our coho salmon with rice. It was really great. I'll have to try and get another one today or tomorrow. Catch the reflection in the water. There's a woodpecker in the background. Probably some eagles soaring somewhere up there in those clouds. Maybe a grizzly bear coming out of the woods. Well, today is June 13th, my wedding anniversary. and I'm leaving Prince Rupert. This is just a little bit of the waterfront. Prince Rupert was a town of 16,000 people whose industries, as you can guess, are boom, fishing, logging, and mining. We got here Thursday late morning, and I stayed the first day at the Prince Rupert Yacht Club, and that was Thursday. Juan Spampanato left Friday morning to take the ferry to Ketchikan, and I came down last night to this harbor, which was right next to the Alaska State Ferry, and that was convenient because I could pick up our new crew person right there, Professor Stefano Vitali. Come on, focus camera. Focus. There we go. So we're heading out now to Dundas Island, where we'll spend the night, and then we'll do the crossing of Dixon Entry. Today is June 4th, and Stefano and I crossed into Alaskan waters about 3 hours ago, and we're doing some sailing, and I decided to fish and see if I could catch anything for dinner. So there it is, folks, the first Alaskan salmon, which I should tell you, although he got on my hook, this gentleman over here, Professor Vitali, very, very quickly dispatched it with his fist in a very professional way. You want to tell anything about this trip?
Oh, no comment.
So
It's a very nice trip.
Marilyn is steering here. It's raining a little bit. We have the rain awning up and the jib, and we're sailing along at a little more than 2 knots. We're going to put in at a place called Mary Island, or possibly go further to a place called Powell Island. And for dinner, we're going to have this treat. Now what you should notice is,
It's the log just in front of us.
you should notice, which is not anything that occurred to me, I thought I didn't have a pot big enough to put the fish in. And Stefano pointed out that you could wrap it in a circle. So there you have the theorem that the circumference is 2 pi the radius.
And also the fish know.
And the fish know it too. So that's going to be our dinner tonight. Okay, folks, this is it. The shot you've all been waiting for. As I told you a moment ago, we arrived in Alaska. It's been real gray all day, although not raining, except for a sprinkle. And the sun just broke through the clouds, and I thought I'd pan around and show you the Alaskan panorama. This is the sunny side. Whoops, almost fell there. So basically you can see we're kind of surrounded by sea and mountains. It's really very beautiful. I don't know if the video can capture it. You have such a big field of view with your eyes that you take in so much at one time. You can see there's low clouds over the tops of the mountains. There's, by the way, a barge or a tugboat. Come on, focus camera. There we go. Carrying a big load there. So that's your Alaskan landscape. About 20 minutes ago, I was sitting on the cabin top, looking out, and I said, "Hey, man, I came to Alaska. I'm the first Packard to ever do that. I did that. That's a real good feeling. Maybe I still have some endorphins left. But it was a nice feeling to know that an idea concocted about a year ago could come to a solid reality like this. Just do it, as they say. Just do it." Here I am, still up on the bow looking back. Stefano's kind of enjoying the sun, first time all day. The reason the camera is jiggling is that the engine's on and the whole boat kind of vibrates a little bit. Whoa. The boat looks great with the sunshine on it. That's the first time all day. In about 40 minutes we'll be at our anchorage. We're going to anchor behind an island called Howe Anchor, and on the chart it says anchorage for explosives. So one of the cruising guys pointed out, kind of ironic to have an anchorage for explosives behind an island called Howe. Oh, better stop now, I see the battery light flashing. Well, today is June 6th. We're sailing along wing on wing. We're 2 days out of Ketchikan, heading up towards Misty Fjords. It's a spectacular day for Alaska. There's some blue sky and nice white fluffy clouds. We're sailing along on flat water at 5 knots. This morning we had a little trauma. We wrapped our anchor around something on the bottom, and a very kind fisherman came in and tried to get it up, used all his heavy equipment, and finally broke the anchor line. So that cost me my anchor and chain, but fortunately it got back the most of the anchor line, and we still have a spare one. Our spirits are pretty good, especially in such ideal conditions, just trucking along. Our plan is to go up into the fjords, spend 2 days in there, and then head back to Ketchikan. You can see off in the distance very nice snow-capped mountains, and they're probably right in the region where those fjords are. There's also a wind line, which might be the end of our wind for today. Really having a great time. Stefano's wonderful company. Last night we had salmon salad and rice. That was pretty good. We spent the afternoon in Ketchikan, and I had a great big greasy hamburger. I had a craving for grease. I guess it's biological. But then later I craved the nice healthy food that we have out back on Dancer. Maybe you can hear the rush of the water along in the hull here. Wonder if you can kind of look down. See it's cutting through the water. Sorry about that. Looking back, you can kind of see just how flat the conditions are. It's gorgeous. This has been a great trip. Yesterday I had the real sad news that Rose and Ben had a very bad automobile accident, but fortunately they're safe, and that's the important thing. So I hope you guys, when we watch this video together, that you're, especially Rose, is all over the bad trauma of that experience. And who knows, maybe someday you'll come up here and I'll give you some trauma of another kind, of losing anchors and one thing and another. Okay, well, I'll try and remember later to film some of the Misty Fjords. We're just now motoring along the Beam Canal. It's still June 16th. There was a beautiful rainbow here just a few minutes ago. It's raining very lightly, but the sun is shining behind us. As you can hear from the sound, we're motoring along, heading for our anchorage. It's just gorgeous. We're the only ones here for many, many square miles. Just as flat as a pancake. I hope this will show that panorama. Off in the distance is a feature that I don't know if it'll show up. It's a pinnacle of rock sticking about 200 feet straight up, called Eddystone Rock. Stefano said, "Did you see the Schloss up ahead? That's a Austrian castle." Well, I hope you can see the rainbow. This is one last scene from June 16th. We've had beautiful weather today. And as the sun's going down, there's a beautiful rainbow over the mountain. And I think if you look, you can see it down there in the water. even more intense. We're in a beautiful anchorage here up on the Beam Canal. This is the area where our good friends on the Restless said, there's no anchorages up there. You can't go there. There's no place to anchor. And we're getting ready to have dinner, and then we'll do our best to pollute this anchorage the way we did all the others. Speaking of pollution, look at that, folks. Somebody threw cabbage out in the water. It's disgusting. The sound you hear in the background isn't Stefano tap dancing, but it's a small sole that he just caught. You can see how calm the water is. The reflection of the